Open tabs, margin notes, highlighter, bleed through quotes, research minds, steady eye patterns only she can note. I-90 fog, whispering under wheels, skyline, afterglow, 2 states, packed rooms, quiet minds that know, no sign needed out front. They circle to her voice, questions rise before she starts, curiosity by choice. She pivots mid-lecture, checks who's leaning in close. Say the part you skip out loud, that's where the learning goes. Heads home with the speakers up, Biggie in the background, mind still mapping theories while the city slows down. She teaches the why behind the crime, the hurt behind the face, Philly in her backbone, psychology in her grace. Don't let the hype fool you, she stands 10 stories tall. She don't just teach the lesson, she teaches you through it all. Late nights with case files open, notes in the margin glow. She's showing you your story's roots, so you can choose where to go. Yeah. Biggie quotes inside the slides, right next to coping skills. Spread love between the lines of how a nervous system feels. Long days, quiet grit, humor in the punchlines. You are more than this moment, written 10 times, old assessments in a folder, ink dust on the sleeve. She can map anxious attachment before you know you grieve. 1 foot in Jersey lecture halls, 1 on the Philly street. Home is where she learned to fight, classes where we don't repeat. Grown kids texting check-ins, pride she doesn't post. She teaches minds all day, then goes in mother's most. Case files, true crime, mind behind the scenes. She doesn't tell you what they did, she shows you what it means. Your story is not your diagnosis. You are allowed to rewrite it.
Hi everyone, welcome in, welcome in, come on in, welcome, welcome. Hi everyone, hope you're all having a fabulous day today. I have a headache, ugh, I hope it goes away soon. I took Motrin, so we'll see. So I am waiting for everybody to come in. I'm going to download the PowerPoint slides. So I uploaded the slides as a PDF in our Discord. So if anyone wants to look at any of those slides, please feel free. I will say I should show you tonight what I've done to them. I really like after the live, I don't know if I'll be able to do it to tonight, but after the live I go through and I update them. So for example, I'm going to show you what the Rihanna live looks like now, or the PowerPoint rather. So come on in. Yes, you guys. Hi Harlot. Hi Cuff You. Hi Lucy. Hi YouTube. Andrea's here. All of my friends. Birdie. Yes. Hi guys. Lynn's here. Nice. Nice. I was up till all hours of the night. You were damn right I was. Thank you so much for saying that, because I really was, wasn't I? Yeah, so let's look at that. Of course, can you believe the dog? I really can't with this dog. Literally. Ugh. Hold on, dogs. I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know why. I literally let them out right before I went live so that this wouldn't happen. Come on, doggies. Sorry, I'm back. There's no one here to let them out. But I'm back. I'm not going to get mad about it. So just so this, we're not doing Rihanna tonight. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like from last night. So afterwards, I went back in. I made everything bigger. I made everything more colorful. I fixed all the things. Oh, I added at the end, I added the reference page. Oh, look a squirrel, if you see this, I was thinking of you when I picked the color scheme. Okay, so let's look at tonight. So I guess what I'm saying is tonight's don't expect the most beautiful thing, because I just looked and I'm like, why? Wait, I have an idea why everybody's coming in. I'm going to see if I can upload it to ChatGPT and ask it to please make all a font. Okay. Okay. Let's see if it does it. Let's see. I guess we'll find out. We'll give it a second and see. It said I think I might need to modify it. Okay, let's see what happens. Hopefully it'll give us a bigger one, because let me show you guys what it looks like. I just noticed, I'm like, oh no. Alright, I mean, we could do it, it's not bad. It's just not as big as I'd want it. So this is it. Okay, so I mean, it's not terrible, we could still see it, but it's nowhere near as big as I usually would like it. So, but tonight or tomorrow after the live, I'll go back and fix it if ChatGPT doesn't help me right now, but it's AI, and I think it can do a lot of things, so let's see if it'll help. Okay, you guys. Yes, so are you familiar with Aileen Wuornos? So, how's everyone doing? Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Lucy. You're very familiar with Aileen. Oh. So this is one that so Truth said it too. Truth was like, a few people have told me to look into this one, and of course I know about this case, but not to where I put together PowerPoint slides and picked out videos and stuff like that, so we'll see what happens. And Cuff, can you believe YouTube didn't send my fan stand thing? I'm like so annoyed. Like, it's Amazon. Where is it? Unbelievable. So yeah, so we'll see. Oh, Andrea says, oh yeah, I know Aileen. She's misunderstood. That's interesting, Andrea. We're going to have to talk about that, Andrea. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you're referring to. I'm just joking. I'm just getting us started. A. Higgins is here. Yes. Oh no, you hurt your back? Well, you just lay down and try to feel better, and maybe you can listen to us in the background. So there you go. I'm sorry. All right, let's see what happens. It did it. Well, it says it did it. I didn't see if it really did it. I increased the text size. All right, it says it did it. So let's see. I'm going to save this, and we're going to download it here. Let's see what happened. It says it did it, you guys. Oh no, I'm afraid to open it. Sometimes it changes it. Oh, come on, it's going to make me show it the other way. Oh, I think it's because I have this up. Hold on, I have to hide this one screen. Let me hide that. Now let's try it. And hopefully that stupid fan goes off in a minute. I do apologize. I hate that. It's so annoying to me. Okay, let's pull this up. Come on. Alright, here we go. We're going to open it. Let's see what happens. Oh, meanwhile, I think it's the PowerPoint slides that are like working overtime. It made it bigger, and then, oh my god, this is why ChatGPT isn't the best for everything yet. I'm thinking my other ones were better. Let me show you guys. I think mine are better. I think I'm just going to stick with mine. Oh no. Let me show you guys though, just so you could see it. It's crazy. Here it goes. Look at this mess. So it made all the words bigger, but I would have to go in and change everything because now it's not in the right. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is a mess. All right, we're not doing this. We're going to X out of that one. No, thank you. And we're going to go back to our other slides. They're small, you guys, but I'll go and fix them later. Oh, crap. Are they too small? No, you guys could still see it, I think. And I could, I'm going to be telling you what are on the slides as well. I don't know why it's so small. It didn't look that small. Probably because I did them on my phone. And I couldn't really tell when I was doing it, so I do apologize. But I will fix that. Everybody knows I'll fix that. Oh, come on. Why is this happening? Why is stuff always happening? Let me just take away some of the stuff in the background and see if that'll get rid of. No, I'm not saving that. I don't want to save that. It asked me if I wanted to save it. No, thank you. Let's close you, ChatGPT. Alright, now there's not much open in the background, so hopefully this thing will calm down. Let's see what happens. I hate that. I'm so sorry. Alright, here we go. Okay, you guys, so let's start with this first one. Let's see. You guys are awesome. I love you guys in here. So, you guys, let's do this. Ready? So, all right. So tonight, I wanted to frame Aileen Wuornos through psychology, not through myth. So, public fascination often turns her into either a monster with no context or a victim with no agency. Okay? So neither extreme is analytically useful, which is why I said to Andrea, oh, Andrea, we're going to see that, right? Yes, you guys should all have degrees. Not yet, though, Andrea. That would be a little bit too soon. But you should be well on your way to a degree for sure. I do agree with that. So we're going to see that it's neither or. So it's not going to be the one side or the other, meaning that she's not necessarily 100% a monster or 100% misunderstood. And I'm going to show you, or hopefully fail to disprove that theory, which is pretty much proved, but we don't say prove in science. So, why is this fan still going? What's happening? I don't know what it's doing. It doesn't need to do all the most. And I wish it would stop. I have it like off the side. Alright, so I'm just going to go and pretend like I don't hear it, and hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. I know. Okay, so I'm just going to ignore it and just start going. So the more responsible approach, you guys, is to hold two ideas at once, so we can think both things at once. So she experienced profound developmental trauma, and I do teach developmental psychology. So I do feel like, and I teach abnormal psychology, so I feel like this is where these two converge. The fan's going away, yay. Okay, so that's making me happier. What we're going to see here is that in this opening slide, from what you can see, I just want to show you where this analysis is headed. So trauma, survival, and perception, because we always talk about perception and how perception is reality, even when it's not real. How they're not excuses. So not even someone's perception is an excuse. They're psychological categories that help us understand how a person may learn to move through the world in a chronologically threat-focused way. So this matters because when survival becomes identity, fear and aggression can become fused. Okay, so let me say that again. Fear and aggression can become fused. And think about that, right? When someone's afraid, if they have trauma from their past, if they have CPTSD, PTSD, I mean, there's so many things I can name right here. Something like fear, right? Well, something like trauma, really. It's really triggering trauma is what's happening. So something like fear can trigger trauma is what I'm saying. So I would also say that, or remind everyone that this is a behavioral analysis. I'm not diagnosing anyone here. We're going to examine documented history, cognitive patterns. Whenever you hear the word cognitive, think of the thought process. So your cognitive is your thought process. So when I say cognitive, that's what I'm referring to. So we're going to look at this through cognitive development as well. And we're going to see how, oh my God, dogs. We're going to see how it's described in the research, because you know I always add research, and the way that developmental damage can shape later choices. And I think this is where a lot of people in our chat, and even, you know, with me, anybody, I think that a lot of us, this is where we can identify with these issues, is that we see the connection between our childhood, most of us do, and, you know, why we react or act the way we do, why some of us get angry when we're mad and others cry, right? We all have very different responses. So we're going to also look at tonight, just so everybody knows what it is we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at a few of her interviews. This is one of them right here. This is an interview that she did, and I'm going to play a second of it so that I could let the dog in and not just have it be dead air. So let's watch a little bit of this. This is, hold on, you guys showed me how to do this last night. This is 18 years ago, so October 21st, 2007. Oh wow, you guys, this is 19 years old.
Page about the cops doing their movie anyway.
Oh,
So it didn't make a difference. I already, too late, I already said it.
So why do you think, I mean, I know.
Because
I know
they
why.
convinced.
Hold on, I know why it's low. Hold on, dogs. Oh no, I did. Okay, sorry about that. All right, it should be okay.
To me that the cops would not be able to do their movie, have any access to this movie because they needed the trials to go through.
But why do you think Aileen and Steve would want you to plead guilty?
Arlene and Steve have both suggested how I could kill myself. That's not very motherly, is it?
Or kill yourself while you're in this institution?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, they both suggested it. It's not very motherly nor very lawyerly, is it? And even giving me some ideas. So that's pretty sick. Mm-hmm. I know they're not on my side. But it's too late. Now all I need to do is slide through the rest of these stupid trials, Pasco Dixie, find me a real good detective and a real good investigative reporter to go out and figure out what's going on find out that I'm telling the truth and they're lying.
So here we're going to see, and I don't want to watch the whole thing right here, but we're going to see how, just like with some of the other cases that we've done, I do think that Aileen Wuornos really believes that she had no choice but to do what she did in many cases. And the problem is she's accused, or not accused, convicted of taking the lives of 7 males on her journeys. And we're going to see how that all happened. But here she's going to tell us how she feels it was their fault. Let's watch another minute of it, and then I'll go back to my slides.
And find the evidence. And once you've got evidence, I can get a new trial, and I need to go to a new trial through the Supreme Court.
And what about before all this happened?
Yes, monster.
Did you?
You mean before the crimes themselves?
Yeah.
I was doing fine until Tyra told me start going to see strangers and make more money. That's how I wound up in this situation.
But you'd been working as a prostitute for a while before then, hadn't you?
I was doing real good monetarily. Yeah. I was making hand over fist money. I was doing real good. The only problem that happened is when Saudi Arabia came in, all my clients started going to Desert Storm and going to the bases and training and getting ready to go overseas and do that deal in Kuwait. And so I lost a lot of my regulars, and Tyra told me, well, why don't you go out there and do your strangers again like you did from the beginning when I started hooking. And I thought, I can deal with my regulars I have now, but I only make about 100, 150 a week.
Did you feel that Tyra was into it for
But Tyra wanted
money
me
as
to
well?
bring in 700 or 1,000 a week. What?
Did you feel Tyra was into it for money as well?
Well, now I look at it, yes, definitely. She was using me monetarily. So was my first lover before Tyra. I bought.
Okay, so that's a good part to stop right here, just to talk real quick about one of the things. Casey brings up a good point that you know, we should be free to do with what we want with our bodies. They're our bodies, right? And then Harlot agrees with Andrea and a few others that, you know, that, oh my God, I just almost lost my train of thought. Not my train of thought, I got it. Just remember, I have a little bit of a headache here, but I got it. That she's not the monster that everybody says she is. That just like left my brain for 1 second, but then I started laughing to myself. So, wait, 700 is just 2 regular nights. Somebody else said $100. So imagine, right? And she's saying, what about that whole thing that she was saying about Saudi Arabia? Was that like, is this what's like, does she really have clients that, not necessarily, I don't know if they would tell her all that, or is this a delusional type thing? What do you guys think? I don't know. So let's really quick go back to, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slide, then we'll jump back over to that in a minute. So we'll do like some of this, some of that, some of this, some of that. Okay, so the core frame here is, and real quick, before we go to the core frame, I just also want to say that context helps explain behavior, but it does not erase accountability. So although we're going to see that in context, even if Harlot and, you know, Andrea and a bunch of others, I've seen other people too, so I'm not like calling people out because I also know what you guys are saying. Like I get it. But no matter what we come to, whatever our conclusion is, that, and you guys, I know you guys feel the same way too. I'm just saying, you guys know it's like a thing I do with my students. I'll say their name like while I'm talking, and so I think part of it, when I call your like names out, you guys please know that that is way more of a 22 years teaching habit and less of me specifically being like Harlot, Andrea. So just know that I'm not trying to like, and when I do it, think of yourself as being special. You're the one that I said out of everybody. So there you go. But my point is that even if we all come to that conclusion that she is not really the monster that she's being made out to be, and that she was taken advantage of, traumatized, and, you know, did what she had to do type thing, that even with that, you know, behavior, that bad behavior does not erase accountability. So let's say this. So this slide is going to set the rules of the road. So first, behavioral analysis means that we focus on patterns that are visible in the record. So instability, repeated violence, self-protected narratives. So that's a big one here, self-protective narratives. We're going to see, and the last one is how she interpreted danger. We all interpret danger differently depending on how we were taught. Right? So how we were taught to interpret danger, how we've seen other people around us, close people to us, like parents, siblings, friends, how they've reacted to danger. So we're going to see, and also this is perception, which is reality, even when it's not real. So this means we're going to be interested in the mechanisms, so like the systems. I always go back to systems, not the dramatic storytelling. And again, that's why people come here, because we get the psychology of it all. The second thing is developmental context matters because early neglect, abuse, and chaotic caregiving can distort emotional regulation, you guys. It also distorts your trust and your social learning. We've talked about this before. When somebody looks at a parent or somebody, a parent, a teacher, a neighbor, somebody who's supposed to be, you know, be different, right? Like your parent's supposed to be the person that protects you against people. Your teachers help you. They also protect you against people. They're supposed to be people you can trust and go to and talk to them and so on and so forth. So when those people, firefighters, right? People in uniform, hospital workers, they're all people that when we see them on TV or, you know, portrayed, they're usually portrayed as good people that we go to that help society. So when someone breaks that that notion that not everyone plays by the rules, and that there are not only that there are some people that absolutely cannot be trusted, right? That's when we have an issue, and that's when abuse and neglect and stuff like that can really live. So there you go. So when a child grows up learning that other people are inconsistent or unsafe, this is what I wrote. I should have just said this because I think I say it better here. I say the exact same thing. I just think I say it better. So when children grow up learning that other people are inconsistent or unsafe, that lesson can become part of adulthood unless it's interrupted by support, treatment, or corrective relationships. So that's a big one. So just because somebody has abuse in their upbringing doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have that throughout, being raised and throughout their adulthood. However, it does put you at that higher risk. Okay, so next thing we have here is cognition. We talked about cognition already. I said cognition is your thought process, right? So we know that our thoughts drive our behavior. Let me say that again. We get our thoughts first, and that drives our behavior. Some people often say, is it our behaviors that drive how we think, or is it how we think that drives our behavior? We know from research that it's our thought process that drives our behavior. So this doesn't mean that thoughts act in a vacuum, but it does mean that perception matters. If someone learns to scan constantly for exploitation or threat, they may interpret ambiguous situations through that lens. Over time, that cognitive style can become rigid. Finally, no diagnosis and no speculation. We don't need to label to explain why this case is psychologically rich, you guys. So now we're going to look at accountability boundary and the language that we use. So let's go to the next slide, and then we'll do one more slide, and then I'll go to another piece of the video. So at the broadest level, this case involves 7 male victims over relatively comprehensive period between 1989 and 1990. So it's only in a year. So Wuornos maintained that some of the killings were acts of self-defense, and that those claims become central to how the public interpreted the case. And we're going to also see that when we play the video. She already started saying a little bit of that, and we're going to see that that same narrative continues. So that same language continues. Things like self-defense and there's nothing I could do, or they gave me no choice type thing. But psychologically, the repeated nature of violence matters at least as much as a single explanation. So this is a big part. Patterns matter more than isolated incidents, you guys. I say this all the time. Something can happen. People can act out bad. We all have our moments, things like that. People always say those cliche, sayings, but it's the truth. The problem is when you see patterns over time. What do I always say? When you see that many patterns, that often leads to a theme. And when we see themes, now that's a whole new thing. That's like a consistent pattern, right? So patterns matter more than isolated incidents, in my opinion. A single violent episode can sometimes be driven by a specific context. So multiple lethal encounters raise different questions. What stable internal framework may be guiding perception, emotion, and response? And this is going to be huge. So that's where psychology enters the conversation, you guys. So it all goes back to those attachment bonds, those attachment wounds, identity wounds, so on and so forth, trauma wounds. And we're just going to see how this continues throughout life. There's a rich developmental background here, you guys. She had a ton of childhood trauma. So the next 2 slides, we'll watch another minute or so of the tape, then we'll come back and we'll talk about her developmental background and how her childhood trauma may have played a role in the way that things panned out for her. Really. Okay, so let me share the video again. All right, here we go.
Her pressure cleaning business and everything, and she took off 2 months after I bought it for her.
And now Steve and Aileen as well.
Everybody.
Why do you
It's
think?
just, it must be the economy, man.
Why do you think?
Everybody seems like they just care about the money. They don't care about me. Aileen Wuornos killed 7 people.
She had a
She
child at
deserves to die.
14.
Who gives a darn? Let's make some money and forget about her. But that's not the point. I say it's this. The principle is self-defense. They say it's the number. I say it's principle. The heck with what... It has nothing to do with the number killed. It's principle. But they're saying, if there's a number, no. Self-defense is self-defense no matter how many times it is. I don't care if it's 100 times. I never...
Thank you, Birdie, my queen, that you have been a member for 7 months. That is absolute insanity that I've been around that long. I know that, I think Truth did it the other night, and it said 9 months, and Truth's my longest. So you literally have been around since the beginning, and I appreciate that more than you could possibly imagine. Truth, look, I told you, look at what Birdie put. Is that what you were talking about, Truth? The stickers or whatever? If so, you guys, if you have stickers, you should put them in the chat so people know that you are the bomb. Look at you. You have a new sticker. You're moving on up. Look at that. Wow, I feel so blessed. Okay, let's go back to this again real quick. So again, this is the selling of an S is what this is called. And this is coming from, just so that I make sure I'm giving credit where credit is due. This is, oh, I didn't subscribe yet. Planet, I did now. Planet US Anya. So we're going to like it and subscribe, because we always do that here, right? And then we're going to look at that. But don't worry, our very next one is going to be of Dr. G. And I know everybody loves him. I just want you to see one other thing here. You're going to see her react here a little bit. So, and remember that we just talked about how cognition, or the thought process, leads to behavior. So we're going to see how that comes into play here.
Provoke those guys. I never provoked them. I never showed any provocations whatsoever. It was very nice, very decent, very clean, very ladylike. I didn't even swear in front of my clients. And a lot of my clients, I talked about Jesus and I talked political. Both mixed together, and we never argued.
Yes,
so there was no provocation whatsoever. There was no need for them to look for the closest weapon in the vehicle and try to use it on me to rape me. 2 did, 5 tried.
How
He
long?
gets ready for me?
Do you want 3 minutes? You want to?
2 or 3 more minutes.
2 or 3 more minutes. Okay. Don't want to break any more rules.
So what are you guys going to do? Are you going to try to investigate some of this
Yeah,
stuff?
we will.
If you guys can look for the Republican Pictures contract,
I just go forward, step the bigger
you got it right there. If you can find it, that will set me a new trial for the Supreme Court.
Okay, you guys, so we obviously see here possible delusions, right? Maybe even, wow, delusions of persecution even, right? And she thinks here that, what do you guys think about that? Stage 3 OC survivor says, it's so interesting to me how some children can grow up to lead successful, productive lives. Isn't it right? So you can have, you guys, you can have 8 siblings that all have the same upbringing. They all have the same parents. They all go through the exact same trauma. And one can be very well adjusted, and another one can have traumatic CPTSD. Which just goes to show that part of this is not only nature and nurture or genetics and environment, but in my opinion, context, right? So what developmental period is the person in? Are you in, because we know that there are different critical periods in our development, and depending on what it is that we're talking or experiencing, you know, those 8 siblings that all have the same parents and live in the same house and experience the same thing. The thing that makes them different is the developmental stage that they're going through. But let's say we even have, you know, sisters or brothers or whatever, siblings that are like 11 months apart. They could also be very different, right? Because we know that it is polygenetics, so it's multiple genes, how the environment affects those genes. And then also your developmental stage that you're in. So I think that all of that is so very interesting. So very interesting.
The Republic pictures.
Yeah, Republican Pictures. That's where they're working at. Overkill movie.
Oh my
If you find the
God.
contract.
Lucy.
They're dead meat.
Oh my God, Lucy. Yes. Oh, Mark the Shark got one. And who else got one here? Oh my God. Oh my God. And then stage 3. You guys. Kitty Perry. Jana. True Treasure. Lucy. I am so appreciative. You have no idea. Oh my God. Thank you. And June got a membership too. Lucy Day became a member too. Wow, Lucy, that is so very generous of you. Wow, thank you so much. I almost am like speechless. I don't even know what to say. I will say to you guys that I did not only prepare for the show tonight, but I went into Streamlabs and I made sure I changed the settings so that it wasn't loud for people that have on headphones. So just know that I do get your comments and I try to listen. And I changed the music a little bit so that it wasn't so jolting if you were like going to sleep. You know what I mean? Some people are trying to fall asleep and I didn't realize it, but they're like, oh yeah, we might have headphones on and we're like going to sleep, and all of a sudden it's like darn, which I probably just did to you right now. I do apologize. But this is so exciting. I am so very excited. You have no idea. I'm dying right now. Wow, I can't, you guys, look at that. Look at all the things on the top. I feel like a superstar. I'm so dramatic, but I do. Thank you, you guys. Oh my God. Thank you, Miss Lucy. And thank you, Miss Stage 3. Oh, Stage 3. Oh, I don't know why it just took me that long to realize that that's Stage 3 Survivor. Wow, good for you. Oh my God, congratulations. So I'm assuming that means Stage 3 Cancer Survivor. Was that ovarian cancer? What was that? OV? Let me see. I think it's ovarian. Shut up. Wow. Holy mackerel. Good for you. I'm so glad that you're here. Hanging out with us old ladies. 2 years. Wow. Oh my God. Well, thank God. Thank God. You see, you survived. You want to know why you survived, just in case you didn't know? You survived because it was meant to be for you to come here and meet all of us crazies, right? And then become part of our little fun Minds Behind True Crime, where we put the fun and dysfunctional, I might tell you. No, I'm just joking. I'm just trying to, make us all see and be thankful for the fact that, that somebody can survive something like that. So that's amazing to hear. A. Higgins says, y'all, my meds are kicking in hardcore. I'ma end up falling asleep to the lullabies of Dr. Bona's voice. I promise I'll watch the replay if I do fall asleep. I hope everybody sleeps tight and sweet. A. Higgins, you're the best, queen. I hope you feel better. I hope your back feels better. I hope whatever hurt you today breaks. And I'm just joking, because if it was like, I just thought about that after I said it, and I'm like, oh no, what if she tripped on her car? We don't want that to happen, so I do take that back. But you know what I mean. I hope you have a great day tomorrow and that your back feels better. Wow, you guys, I love this group. You guys are so amazing. Oh my God. Okay, let's get back to this. I'm dumbfounded. All right, hold on. Let's watch this again real quick.
You're saying that they wanted...
The police officers appointed an attorney to negotiate with the various movie companies after Lee was arrested. The same attorney also represented the interests of Tyria Moore in these
They
discussions.
made up in their mind. She's a serial killer. We're gonna even.
Wait, remind me, who's Tyria Moore? And why don't I remember that part? You know what? I'm going to just switch over to Dr. G now. Let's switch over to Dr. G real quick. And so Dr. G analyzes Aileen Wuornos's. This is her last interview, and he looks at her body language. So I figured we can do two things here at once. Well, actually, three things. You're going to get my blind reaction on this because I haven't seen it. You're going to get Dr. G's clinical reaction on this, and you're going to get to see, which even if you've seen it already, you're going to get to see Aileen again. So, A. Higgins, I hope to God that you don't have nightmares tonight about Aileen Wuornos. I do. Let's just hope that this stuff doesn't give you nightmares. I love Dr. G as well. I agree. All right, let's hear what Dr. G has to say.
Psychologist and body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the body language of Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos is one of the rare female serial killers. She murdered 7 men between 1989 and 1990. She was eventually executed for these murders. Before we get started with the analysis, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. So the first thing we're going to watch is some of Aileen Wuornos during her last interview before her execution. Let's just jump right in.
Just wondering how you're going to be, at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Are you prepared?
I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
All right, so her demeanor, she's smiling, she's calm. Just want you to keep in mind that's where we're starting. That's the starting point here.
How?
I'm all right with it, but like I said, remember, let them know that I know that the cops knew who I was after Richard Mallory died.
Aileen Wuornos is very interesting when it comes to her body language, because if you look at her right here, she's got her nose in the air. That's oftentimes what we do when we look down on other people. So in a very literal sense, we put our nose in the air. And also, she tends to have somewhat submissive body language at times. She goes back and forth. She's sort of a chameleon when it comes to her emotions and her body language. So you're going to see a change over the course of this interview.
That is so interesting to me, you guys. Wow. So this is so interesting to me. I am so glad that we're getting Dr. G's perspective on top of it, because I think both of ours together will be interesting. So let's see what he has to say next. And everybody go subscribe and all the good things to Dr. G. I know you probably already are, which is why I forgot to say it. And I'm sure Cuff You has already, I think she's already put it in there, in the chat, his link. So hold on, let's watch more of this.
I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. And let me kill the rest of those guys to turn me into a serial killer. I know they did.
And what you hear her saying is that she's blaming other people for basically not stopping her so that she would become a serial killer. So one thing you notice with almost all serial killers is that they are always the victim. Now, she may have really been victimized in some ways, but suggesting that the reason that she continued to be able to kill was because they covered up what she was doing so she could keep killing is a little bit more preposterous. Let's hear her say that again.
I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. And let me kill the rest of those guys to turn me into a serial killer. I know they did, because I was no professional serial killer or anything, murderer, whatever you want to call it, Wasn't.
So right now her face is contorted into a look of disgust.
Wow, you guys, that is so interesting to me. And she does look disgusted here, right? But what do we always see? Like Dr. G said too, and he pointed out, but that's why I didn't stop. I decided not to stop it. But they're never wrong, right? It's always somebody else's fault. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else. Somebody else did it. Why did they let her become, a serial killer? It's everybody else's fault. She left prints there. They should have seen the prints, and they didn't. So now it's their fault that she was available to commit more crimes.
She's wrinkling her nose. She's at the corners of her mouth are facing down. We do this when we feel disgusted. Let's watch the context of that again.
No professional serial killer or anything, murderer, whatever you want to call it, Wasn't professional at what I was doing.
Aileen,
Did some sloppy work, and I left
how
her.
have you...
Right, so she went from looking calm to starting to get a little more irritated, looking disgusted, to smiling. Her emotions are everywhere. She's very impulsive, very volatile. Watch this one last time.
It wasn't special at what I was doing.
Eileen,
Did some sloppy work, you know, and I left.
how have you prepared yourself for tomorrow morning?
I'm all right with it. Hey, I'm ready to go. Hey, I was tortured at BCI. They had.
Did you? Okay. I stopped it at the perfect time. So do you guys see here, you know how I always point out, I don't know if Dr. G ever talks about this, but I don't remember which behavioral thing I learned this in, but over here, do you see the three whites of the eye? You see the white here and the white here, which is normal. That's what Dr. G has. That's what I have. That's what you have, probably. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think you all have just two whites. But a lot of times we see with these offenders is the third white somewhere, and sometimes even a fourth, where we'll see it underneath the eye. So when I say the third white, I mean at the top. I keep remembering that you guys can't see my cursor. So I'm talking about in between the top lid in this picture. I mean, look at her between the top lid and her pupil. And for some people it might be the bottom lid and the pupil. For some it might be the top and the bottom, where you'll see white all the way around the pupil. But we often see these big eyes, not always, but often, and when I mean not always, I mean not always, like they don't always have this. There's times where she doesn't have this, but we don't see this very often in other people. But we do see this often in killers that we've looked at. And we also see that their eyes, their pupils get really dark, which I would hypothesize is their pupils getting bigger. I meant their iris gets dark, or it looks like the iris is getting dark, but it's actually the pupil getting bigger.
I'm ready to go. Hey, I was tortured at BCI. They had the inner.
Wait, she declined her last meal. That's right. Oh, wow, that's right.
Intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Sonic.
And see the way she's saying it slowly and then leaving a pause, as though she's saying, I'm saying something so unbelievable and so groundbreaking. Can you believe that they did this to me? Sometimes you'll hear people that are really disconnected from reality talk like this. There's somebody who's really into far out conspiracy theories will say something as though it's fact. Just wait for you to respond to how blown your mind is. Listen to her say this again.
Sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
And do you think what?
Does anyone know if she's been diagnosed as schizophrenic? Do we know that? Anyone? And Harlot asks, isn't it normal to switch between emotions when remembering past traumas? Absolutely. However, it doesn't, for me, always feel like, maybe sometimes, but not always. I don't feel like she's always switching between those traumas. Sometimes I feel like she's, reliving the traumas. Other times, and the crimes that she committed when she talks about it. But I see it in her a lot differently than we see it in the average person. But I'm sure, that we do see her go back and forth between emotions. But again, I want to wait before I, lean too hard into this. But there's clearly something mental illness-wise going on here as well, in my opinion.
Did that affect your mind, do you think?
Huh?
Did that affect your mind in some way, the sonic?
It was crushing my head, and they were using sonic pressure continually. Then when I had 3 meetings with Miss Villacorta on...
And you can hear she's starting to get more agitated by this. She's licking her lips because her mouth is drying out. This is, sometimes I talk about it because it's related to excitement. I don't think this is excitement. I think this is stress. I think she's irritated. This is agitating her to talk about this.
He pretty much just said what I was trying to say, you guys, in that. With the switching of emotions here, yes, Harla, thank you for clarifying that. But he pointed out that she switches emotions when she talks about the murders. And this is the thing, just like I was saying, yes, it's normal to switch between emotions, but like I said, I don't see the norm here that I usually would see in other people that I do with her. And if we go back 1 second here, Dr. G pretty much says the same thing. So he says normally this would mean da-da-da, but in her, you guys, look at the guy in the background, where she is. He's just like looking at her like, what the?
accord on.
And you can hear she's starting to get more agitated by this. She's licking her lips because her mouth is drying out. This is, sometimes I talk about it because it's related to excitement. I don't think this is excitement. I think this is stress. I think she's irritated. This is agitating her to talk about this.
Every meeting I had, she increased the pressure of the volume of the comm, increased the harassment.
So what's important for her to get out during her last interview is what a victim she is and how they've basically been torturing her or using pressure on her head or whatever nonsense this is. Point being...
Okay, Cuff You, so then I don't have to feel like I have to go back. All right, so Cuff You says, let's go over some of these because I definitely see some of the things that I'm seeing in here for sure. So, Cuff You says, Aileen Wuornos was diagnosed with multiple serious mental health disorders, most consistently borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, which many experts also identifying post-traumatic stress disorder, and in some accounts, schizophrenia or psychotic symptoms. So I'm so glad that you said this, because the reason I was having a little bit of a difficult time, because I've only gotten to see a few things, like, that's why my slides are a little bit bare tonight-ish, but, you know, I have enough here to do some behavior analysis, but I would definitely dive into this further on another live. But what I keep going back and forth between is that cluster B personality and then schizophrenia with psychotic symptoms. So I guess like it can be both, right? So, but I do see these behaviors. I see all of those behaviors actually.
That she wants to highlight this. This is what's important to her to get out in the world.
Oh, and truth, that's crazy. That's a lot of money. You were saying how much it costs for them to house an inmate a year. That's a lot.
So are you saying that you...
Did you say
killed
shut
in
up, Dr. G?
self-defense or in cold blood? What do you... Because you've changed your story. I'm just trying to...
What are you talking about? Change story on what?
No, about whether it was...
So when you suggest that somebody has changed their story...
Lucy, are you saying you'd rather me just do this on my own without his commentary? Because I could. I get that. I definitely could do that. It might just be the guard standing behind her making me think of Ellie. Okay. Oh my God. Birdie says, I've seen my dog's eyes turn black before he attacked. See? Something he said annoyed you. Ignore you. Well, I'm not going to ignore you, Miss Lucy Day. But I get it. If he says anything, I'll bitch slap him for it. No, I'm just joking.
Those are fighting words. I'm not at all surprised that we're now seeing anger. That's not a good idea to say to a serial killer. There's really ways that you have to be able to build rapport. You're going to connect with somebody like this, and you're going to have conversations with them, and saying you're changing your story is absolutely a bad idea. So when you're dealing with somebody volatile, I'm going to expect that this is going to lead to more volatility.
Self-defense or not?
I'm not going to say, I'm not going to get in depth about my cases, Nick. I'm on my way to the chamber. Nothing stopping it. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it.
All right, so now we're seeing, she was already talking about things that were a little agitating, but now you're seeing her get more angry. And she's getting frustrated that
Oh, harlot. Definitely the animals. Animals for sure. We see the same thing, right? We share 98.5% of our DNA with chimpanzees and a third with dogs. Or half with dogs and a third with fruit flies. Did you guys know that? So we definitely share similar DNA, which lets us know that there's other similar systems. So that's absolutely, the animal thing is very, very interesting to me as well for those same reasons. If you guys want, I can, wait, Lynn says, oh my God. Let's see. Oh, smartass is like a definite, like you need to have that to survive here. Let me see, you guys. If I could find her own interview here, I could do this on my own. Hold on. Interview. And then I'll just switch over to that. Here we, oh look, the very first one. All right, I got this one. We'll do it this way.
You're going to be,
So let me fast forward it to where we were.
All the angels and everything. And you know what? On the floor.
Oh my gosh, where was
pressure
it?
on my head since
Oh, here it is.
1997. It could have been either rigged to the TV set or the mirror. Every time I started writing
Oh,
something,
you guys.
it went up higher. So I'm thinking that it wasn't on, and they
All right,
were
this is where we were.
using sonic pressure on my head since 19.
This is where we were. This is where we were. So we'll take it from here. Oh, you feed fruit flies to your spiders. Yes, they are your peers. We share 3/4 of our DNA with fruit flies.
1997.
Sonic
And every
pressure.
time I was trying to write something, I
love you,
I think
Cuff.
they had some kind of eye in the cell. I'm not sure, but every time I started writing something, it went up higher.
Me
So I'm
too.
thinking that probably had the TV rigged. The TV or the mirror, something was rigged. They got a huge satellite on the compound. After they put the huge satellite on the compound, it could have been either rigged to the TV set or the mirror or something. Because the electrician, when he put the mirror on the wall, he said, "Doesn't that look like a computer?" The back of it, and he stuck to it.
Oh, you guys, and I got it. I can't. This is like so. I'm getting those schizophrenia vibes again. And if you guys remember, last night, if you didn't see us last night, go back after but wait till this is over, of course, and watch last night's live on Rihanna. It's not on Rihanna. It's on the woman that is accused of allegedly shooting up her house, and the woman's name was Ivana Ortiz, and we looked her up last night, and we saw a lot of similar schizophrenic delusions and things like delusions of persecution. And another one that we see we see in both of them is the delusion that somebody or something is interrupting their own cognitive process, right? So there's cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia, and this is very much common for someone with paranoid schizophrenia in particular. And I'm not diagnosing her. I'm just showing the obvious behavior patterns here. But we saw the same behavior pattern last night. So my thing is this. What's the difference between the girl we saw last night and someone like Aileen? And, could the difference be that Aileen, we didn't have as much technology back in the day, so, excuse me, like, if that was back in the day, they wouldn't have had, they might have had the helicopter to look around, but they didn't have a lot of the same technology that we do today. So if this girl, maybe if she doesn't get caught, what does that lead to? And you know what I mean? So I guess what my thing is, could it just be time? Could that be the difference here, is time after a while? Because I'm sure Aileen, hers, I'm sure progressed as well, her behaviors. David Bowie
What? Did that
Huntsman.
affect your mind, do you think?
Huh?
Did that affect your mind in some way, the sonic?
It was crushing my head, and they were using sonic pressure continually.
I will do that.
Then when I had 3 meetings with Miss Villacorta on it, every meeting I had, she increased the pressure of the volume of the comms, increased the harassment on the floor, increased the trays being inedible, just increased every bit of my complaints and trashed all grievances. They're trying to make it look like I was crazy at all times, rig up the room with torture. If I said anything about I think their whole plan was trying to make it look like I was totally crazy, and so nobody would believe anything I had to say about anything.
This tells me, you guys, that she probably hears from somewhere or some other people at some point that she's crazy, and that she's, so I feel like she's heard this before, and then it's not just that she feels this. I think this is probably something people have said to her.
Torture. If I said anything about I think their whole plan was trying to make it look like I was totally crazy, and so nobody would believe anything I had to say about anything, and then drive me there if they could. I suffered so bad. I was really struggling to survive. Had a lot of trays that were attempted murder and everything. I had to wash all my food off. And then one day I didn't wash my food off, and I was sick for 3 weeks almost.
Andrea, I'm with you on this one, because I'm like, babysit a tarantula. Get the frig out. I'm sorry. You could go ask Carla to babysit if you need it, because I don't know that I could do that. Oh, God bless you guys. Oh.
But you're okay now.
I'm okay. I'm okay. God is going to be there. Jesus Christ is going to be there. All the angels and everything. And, you know, whatever's on the beyond, I think it's going to be more like Star Trek, beaming me up into a space vehicle, man. Then I move on, recolonize to another planet or whatever. But it's whatever's beyond, I know it's going to be good because I didn't do anything as wrong as they said. I did the right thing. And I saved a lot of people's butts from getting hurt and raped and killed too.
So are you saying that you killed in self-defense or in cold blood? Because you changed your story. I'm just trying to...
What are you talking about? Change story on what?
No, about whether it was...
So, you guys, where they say she changed her story, in my opinion, she's like annoyed that they would say that. So, like, she doesn't want to be seen as a liar, right? She doesn't want to be seen as somebody who's crazy and not telling the truth. So when he says you changed your story, that's going to get under her skin because that's not something that she wants to identify with. I also think it's good, you guys, that I got off of Dr. G's only because I am trying to do a behavioral type analysis and I don't want to interfere as far cognitive interference, right? Where you might think something because someone else says it and you're like, oh yeah, type thing. So if I just go based off of what I'm thinking here and then I can compare it to what he said later, then that's when I stop and think and reflect on, you know, well, which one do I think it is?
I'm not going to say, I'm not going to get in depth about my cases, Nick. I'm on my way to the chamber, no stopping it. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it. That's up to you, man. Put a big question mark on your film.
What more is there to say about the cops? What more do you want to say about the cops?
A lot of stuff. Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it? And that it was covered up? Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky, deputy sheriff, with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest? It was covered up?
Okay, you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to point this out, but I think we're seeing clear paranoid schizophrenia here, delusions of persecution. I haven't really heard any religious persecution yet, but there's definitely delusions of persecution and just delusions in general. She has delusions, she has cognitive distortions where she's thinking that she even has thought, oh my god, I just drew a blank. Where you think that somebody else is changing your thought process. That's what I'm trying to say. So she's saying that even the electricians came in, you guys, and when they were doing the electricity and with the microwave and so on and so forth. This is a very common delusion in schizophrenia, which makes me further think that the schizophrenia realm might be something that we're looking at here. And I'm seeing in my opinion, I see the antisocial personality mixed with schizophrenia because let's be honest, paranoid schizophrenia does not usually lead to something like this. However, when you add something like antisocial personality disorder to that now can lead to disaster, in my opinion. Because with antisocial personality, you're dealing with somebody who is not feeling guilt and remorse, and that's where this could get real dangerous, right? Because you would do it over and over and over again. If you're not feeling guilt and remorse in between, then there's no reason for you to think that you're doing anything wrong, especially if you're having delusions and you're getting signs from the environment to identify and validate your distorted cognitions.
But nonetheless,
nobody ever asked me
whether
this
the
question.
cops were following you or not, I think.
Oh, whether the cops are following me or not, Eileen,
Okay,
what?
let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you.
Uh-huh.
They did everything that you're saying they did.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yes,
and
I
I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And
men?
I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you
But
get it?
not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let them...
Oh my god, you guys, I'm sure some of this is just your own lives. And oh, just call me Heidi's here. Hey. I'm sure that, could this be due to drug use? So, could schizophrenia be induced, drug induced? Absolutely. There's such thing as drug induced schizophrenia. So I'm not sure how, if there is schizophrenia, I'm not exactly sure what the triggering event was that turned that gene on for her. However, you guys are so smart here. So I am so proud of Cuff You and Truth. These are like, I'm like, this is either like, but I think it's a mixture of both, right? Experience and then coming around too. But you're like, no, you don't have to see things and hear things. And Truth's like, that's only with paranoid schizophrenia. These are both so right. And it makes me feel so good. And even if you guys knew this before me, obviously, just the fact, it just makes me feel proud. I feel like, because they were both, that's exactly right. You guys had it right. I didn't even have to stop and answer the chat. You guys had that one. You guys really are close to your degrees. Look at you.
Let her clean the streets, then we'll pull her in.
But
That's
how come
why.
there was so much physical trouble? It just because it was all in 1 year. 7 people in 1
Oh
year.
well. Oh well.
But why not say now?
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years.
Look at the eyes right there. There goes the whites of the eyes that I was talking about. Oh my gosh, it is like clear as day here. And do you see like the pupils of her pupils are huge. Could you imagine driving in the car with her and her, like, if she has antisocial personality, that in itself would be scary enough. But then the fact that she might believe that, and again, who else believed in their distorted thought process? Lori Vallow, right? So I do think that there are some delusions here, but I think I'm also seeing schizophrenia. I don't know that somebody would be able to just, again, fake this, like we were saying last night. Like, you don't just fake this for hours and hours and hours.
Total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman got executed. It was used for books and movies and shit. Ladder climbs, re-election, everything else. I got a good finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're an inhumane bunch of fucking living bastards and bitches, and you're gonna get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming. 2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked. You don't take fucking human life like this and just sabotage and rip it apart like Jesus on the cross and say thanks a lot for all the fucking money I made off of you. And not care about a human being and the truth being told. Now I know what Jesus was going through. They've been trying to tell the truth, and I keep getting stepped on. Concerned about if I was raped, I'm not giving you book and movie info. I'm giving you info for investigations and stuff, and that's it.
Wow.
We're gonna have to cut this interview, Nick. I'm not going to go into any more detail. I'm leaving. I'm glad. Thanks a lot, society, for railroading my ass. Okay, let's go.
It was really pretty incredible that
Oh my God.
sailed through the psychiatric test the day before. It makes you wonder what you'd have to do to fail.
Wait, is that really it? Oh my God.
I'm on my way to the chamber. Don't stop in it. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it. That's up to you, man. Put a big question mark on your film.
What more is there to say about the cops? What more do you want to say about the cops?
A lot of stuff. Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it.
So wait, does anybody know? Is this a different interview? Excuse me. Is this a different interview? Why she walks out of the other one? Like, did they let her come back, or is this a different day? Do we know? And great. Yes, she does. She has to have control. 1,000%. And Cuff, you think she's trying to tell the truth. I see what you're saying. Oh, she comes back. Damn. I'm surprised they let her.
And that was covered up. Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky? Deputy sheriff with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest. It was covered up.
But nonetheless,
Nobody ever asked me
whether
these
the
questions.
cops were following you or not, I think.
Oh, whether cops were following me or not, Eileen,
Okay,
what?
let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you.
Uh-huh.
They did everything that you're saying they did.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yes,
and
you
I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And
men?
I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't
But
you get it?
Not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain.
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I'd shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets, and then we'll pull her in.
But
That's
how come
why.
there was so much physical trouble? It was all in 1 year. 7 people in 1
Oh
year.
well. Oh well.
But why not say now?
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my aunt's society and the cops and the system. A raped woman got executed. It was used for books and movies and shit. Bladder climbs, re-election, everything else. I got a big finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're inhuman. You're an inhumane bunch of fucking living bastards and bitches.
Did she say this already, or is she repeating herself? Because I feel like she said this already. But it could just be that she's repeating herself here. I'm curious.
And you're going to get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming. 2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all going to get nuked.
Right, True?
You don't take fucking human life like this and just sabotage and rip it apart like Jesus on the cross and say,
Hey,
thanks a lot for all the
Heidi.
fucking money I made off of you. And not care about a human being and the truth being told. Now I know what Jesus was going through. They've been trying to tell the truth. And I keep getting it stepped on. Concerned about if I was raped, I'm not giving you book and movie info. I'm giving you info for investigations and stuff, and that's it. We're going to have to cut this interview, Nick. I'm not going to go into any more detail.
I'm just trying to
What are you talking about? Change the story on what?
No, about whether it was self-defense or not.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to get in depth about my cases, Nick. I'm on my way to the chamber. No stopping it. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it. That's up to you, man. Put a big question mark on your film.
What more is there to say about the cops? What more do you want to say about the cops?
See, I feel like that's repeating itself over and over again, you guys. So I'm going to go back to the slides anyway, because we still have more slides. So let's go back to some of the slides real quick. Alright. Let's show this on the stream instead. We have a couple more of these. Alright, where did we leave off? We left off, the next slide is developmental background. So when looking at her developmental background, this is where we start seeing the architecture of later behavior. So like I've always say, what happens to us in our childhood often leads to behaviors and thought processes in our adulthood, unless of course it's acted on by, somebody getting treatment, like we said earlier, or somebody, a relationship that helps the person. We said it earlier. I don't want to go backwards. Anyway, reports about Wuornos' life consistently describes abandonment, right? Abandonment's a huge one here. And I think that's where the borderline personality disorder, or what people are picking up on that might be, and her inability to regulate emotion, let's be honest. So those two things are very, very strong behaviors for Aileen, and they are also, first, abandonment in itself is at the core of borderline personality disorder. So the fear of abandonment, and then an inability to regulate emotion is also, the thing that defines borderline personality. So with that being said, that kind of environment that, where somebody feels abandoned or was abandoned or had instability growing up, or the absence of reliable protection, because again, we've talked about this, your family, your like your parents, your teachers, they're all supposed to make you feel safe as a kid. So when you don't feel safe anymore, we see that, we see how this plays into our adulthood. So from developmental psychology perspective, which I'm going to be teaching this tomorrow, chronic instability. Thanks for the sub. Oh, thank you for the sub, Mimi. You're the best. Look, you guys, I changed it to a marshmallow. Isn't it cute? So from a developmental psychology perspective, chronic instability can interfere with secure attachment. We've talked about attachment here before. If you guys don't remember, we talked about this with Jodi Arias. So go back to my Jodi Arias live, look for that. I even did a video with Jodi Arias. It's like maybe a 5-minute video that talks about her attachment style. So I do have content on that. So we know that there's instability that can interfere with secure attachment, emotional regulation, and the ability to build stable interpersonal relationships. So instead of expecting repair, the child may learn vigilance, distance, and self-preservation. So we'll start to see that avoidance behavior and or anxiety building. So those adaptations can be life-saving in childhood, but costly and dangerous in adulthood. So let me say that again. Those adaptations, because that's what they are, and that's what we have to see them to be, is adaptations. They're things that helped us adapt our environment so that we can survive. Although these are adaptations in childhood, in adulthood, they could be costly and dangerous. So be careful of that. So this is a good place to remind everyone that early adversity does not doom a person to future violence, but it can build a worldview in which the environment is expected to be hostile, unpredictable, and unsafe. And we see that here with Aileen, in my opinion. So I think that she felt unsafe in her environment. She felt like her environment was hostile and unpredictable as well. So this is the psychological soil in which later threat-based responses can grow. And again, I think that's what we were seeing here. So let's go to the next slide. Our next slide is about childhood trauma. So this slide is about cumulative harm, physical abuse, sexual victimization, adolescent pregnancy, and there you go, the adolescent pregnancy. She has the 14-year-old son, and being expelled from home. Or I didn't think I realized that she was that young though. Sorry about that. And being expelled from home, so she was kicked out, are not just hardships, right? They're repeated assaults on safety, identity, and belonging. And they're like the three biggest things that we need during our adolescence and young adulthood. So that was being, repeatedly taken from her over and over and over again. So trauma research actually shows that chronic interpersonal trauma can intensify distrust, shame, dissociation, and threat sensitivity. So it is important to be precise. Trauma does not predetermine murder, and most traumatized people do not become violent offenders. But when trauma is severe, repeated, and misunderstood, when trauma is severe, repeated, and unsupported, it can shape the way a person reads intention, anticipates harm, and protects the self. So in other words, trauma can recognize the alarm system or reorganize the alarm system. Sorry, you guys, I'm tired and I have work really early, but I have everything prepared here. But this is why I put my slides up later, so that when you go back, you'll be able to have all of the things that I'm saying here. I'm just getting tripped up on my words for no reason. I think I'm just tired. So a strong thing that I just want to remind everybody here is that trauma is not a script for future violence, but it's cumulative trauma that can change how the brain and body prepare for danger. And that's that's the one thing that I don't want to mess up saying, because this is where the point here comes, for this slide at least. So trauma is not a script for future violence, but cumulative trauma, so trauma over and over and over again, can change how the brain and body prepare for danger. So we've talked about that before with the central nervous system. That distinction lets the trauma be informed without becoming excuse-oriented. So I think that's important. Then next, after we talk about childhood, we have to go into adolescence. So adolescent instability is our next slide. Adolescence is supposed to be a period of identity formation, skill building, and social experimentation. In Wuornos' history, adolescence appeared instead as a period of homelessness, transitional survival, and deep instability. This matters because developmental tasks do not disappear, they get distorted, okay? And we see this for her. When daily life is dominated by where to sleep, how to get money, and how to avoid exploitation, coping becomes immediate rather than reflective. So we're looking for that immediate gratification rather than thinking, what may be good for me down the line. So therefore, survival mode usually kicks in, and it's reinforced where people, with a worldview that people can be dangerous and that it's risky to be intimate with people and that control has to be seized rather than negotiated. And that's a big part here, you guys. I think we need to make sure that we're teaching our kids, young adults, even in adulthood, that we don't need to seize control, right? Everything in life should be negotiated. And in a negotiation, you're not always winning. People usually give up something on both sides to meet somewhere in the middle. So nobody really wins in a negotiation, but we need to learn how to negotiate in life so that we get the things that we need and we get our needs met without taking them. So there you go. So this is where I want to connect this slide to plain language. So if a young person learns that survival is the first priority every single day, then the skills they build are survival skills, not trust skills. Over time, those habits can become their identity. So I think that's a really important thing, because this is where we bridge between adolescent instability and then survival identity in young adulthood. So that'll bring us right to our very next slide, which is survival identity. This is one of the most important slides in my opinion. So survival identity is not just a person making tough choices. It's a person whose core sense of self becomes organized around scanning, anticipating, and reacting. Hypervigilance here, you guys, means that the nervous system is primed. So the nervous system is primed here. So it thinks that a threat first perception means uncertainty, does not feel neutral, it feels unsafe. Let me say that again. Threat first perception, so remember, perception's reality, even when it's not real, means uncertainty, does not feel neutral, it feels unsafe. So for those of you out there with PTSD and CPTSD, this probably hits right at home with you as well. So once this lens is dominated, defensive aggression can start to feel internally justified. The individual may experience force as necessary before outsiders experience it as excessive. So the gap between internal logic and external judgment is central to many violent cases, in my opinion. A useful distinction is for Wuornos here is that she may not have experienced herself as aggressive first. She may have experienced herself as protective first. That does not make the aggression lawful or ethical, but it does help explain how it may have felt psychologically coherent from the inside for her. And I think that's what Cuffy was saying earlier about that distinction, right? About she was experienced protection at first, and that there was something here that I just said that reminded me of what Cuffy said. I'm sure you caught it, whatever it was. The next one real quick is perception versus reality. So of course we have to have this one here. So perception versus reality is the hinge of the case, in my opinion. A person can feel intense fear and still be misreading what is happening. Okay, so a person can feel intense fear and be misreading what's happening. Subjective experience, which is the experience that we articulate ourselves. So objective would be like 2 + 2 = 4. There's only one answer there. Subjective is what we say it is, right? So if I say, how was your day today? You gauge your day a different way than I gauge my day, a different way than somebody else gauges their day. So somebody might say that they're feeling, they're having a good day, and their good day could be your bad day, and vice versa. So psychology helps here because behavior follows belief. If someone believes harm is imminent, that belief can drive action, whether or not the threat is actually present. The analytical question is not simply, was she scared? The question is, how was she interpreting men, danger, power, and control across multiple incidents? This is the slide where I can challenge simplistic takes. So people often want a neat binary, meaning, a black or white like two poles, if you will. People often want a neat binary, linear or victim, predator or prey, so that black, white. But psychologically, cases like this are where people can feel fear, misread threat, and still be responsible for lethal action. And that's the thing here. She could have felt fear. She could have misread the threat, meaning that to her, she really thought, that's what I was thinking, Cuff, you, that you were saying too. She really thought that she was in danger. She really had fear. But that doesn't necessarily mean, which I don't think anybody thinks this, but that doesn't mean that, excuse me, that she's not responsible for her lethal action. And I think we're all on that same page at least. We're almost done here, you guys. Next we have moral, this is it. So we have moral disengagement, and then the next one is just the references that I have. So for this one, Albert Bandura is a social cognitive theorist. So he believes that, he believes in social learning theory. That's his theory, social learning theory, that we learn through our social interactions with others. We learn through watching our parents, our teachers, even people on TV, movies and stuff like that. So Bandura's concept of moral disengagement is useful because it repeated violence often requires a psychological process that lowers internal resistance. People do not usually commit severe harm unless they can justify it, minimize it, or distance themselves from the victim. Okay? So that process can take many forms. It could be blaming the other person, framing the act as necessary, or cognitively reducing the victim to a symbol. We saw that with Koberger, right? Or a symbol of danger for Wuornos here even. So when this happens, the ordinary brakes on behavior become easier to override. Violence becomes easier to organize internally. In this case, moral disengagement does not mean the absence of emotion. It means that whether emotion was present became organized in a way that made lethal action easier for her to carry out. The repeated nature of the killings makes this especially relevant because repetition suggests that some internal barrier had weakened or been bypassed. So just meaning that in earlier times, there may have been times where she was able to stop herself from carrying out that lethal act. Eventually, we become habituated to, oh my God, I can't get my words out today. We become habituated to the situation, or we have a decreased responsiveness when something occurs. So I think that was important. Finally, here I have the references. So here I use the APA, the DSM, Bandura, Hickey, Arrigo and Griffin, and Florida case records related to Wuornos. And then over here is the beginning again. So I will go back real quick to her, I will go back to her video real quick, and we'll watch a little bit more of this before I wrap it up, because I need to go to bed eventually because I have work tomorrow. You know what I mean? But here you go. Let's watch another little bit of this while I check the chat.
A lot of stuff. Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it.
Thank you,
And that was
YouTube.
covered up. Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky, deputy sheriff, with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest? It was covered up.
But nonetheless,
Nobody ever asked me
whether
these
the
questions.
cops were following you or not, Eileen.
Oh, whether the cops were following me or not, Eileen,
Okay,
what?
let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you,
Uh-huh.
they did everything that you're saying they did.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yes, you
and
did.
I'm asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And I'm
men?
telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you
But
get it?
not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I'd shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets. And then we'll pull her in.
But
That's
there
why.
was so much physical trouble, because it was all in 1 year. 7 people in 1
Oh,
year.
well. Oh, well.
But why not say now?
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years. And
I think she repeats herself here, you guys. I'm gonna, just because of that. Oh, look at me over here. I forgot to mute my thing. Sorry about that. Whatever, you guys. I can't even take it. I am so freaking tired. I can't. Oh, please. Hopefully nobody, whatever. I don't even care right now. I am who I am. But over here, I think she just repeats herself over here, so I don't want to do that exact same thing. I'm so tired. Let me just laugh. Let's see. Yes, you guys, yes. I'm gonna see one more thing, and then I think I'm gonna go to bed, and we can do this again tomorrow, because Thursday I work from home, but don't tell anybody, because then people want me to do stuff. Oh, you guys, real quick, let me show you something. This is a little bit off topic now, but I think for Wuornos, I think that I have a better understanding now of where I want to go for the next live with her. Like, I think I did a pretty basic outline and helped everybody get acclimated to the case, but I would like to dive deeper into other interviews and things like that she has. The one that we were watching, I don't know. And then I'll show you guys something that I saw that I was like, oh my gosh. Do you guys know that mortician lady? Oh my god, I'm going to have to show you her channel. She's awesome. I'm going to show you something with her after. But I just want to... Yeah, these are... I'm going to have to go through these later. I'm afraid to click on some of them, but let's look at some of the... Let's see what people, here we go. This is another one. I'm going to share this tab instead. America's first female serial. Can you believe that one?
You're just born bad. How do you...
I don't know about you.
Oh, that's 60 minutes. Am I going to get in trouble for that? Maybe I should pick a different one. That was 60 minutes. I don't want to get in trouble for that. But let's go to shorts. We'll pick somebody else who's not 60 minutes. Is grunge, is that somebody that'll get me in trouble? Criminal investigation files. Oh, they have 5 million views. That might not be the best. Oh, who is this? While serving time in prison for her multiple murders, Aileen Wuornos went slowly insane, claiming that the CIA was spying on her. Who's this guy? Felony files? I'm afraid I don't know which one to go on. Let's try this one.
So are you saying
Oh, this is the one we just saw.
killed in self-defense or in cold blood? What are you...
No, this is the one we just watched. I'm not going to go over that one again. Oh, I love the Behavior Bureau. I wonder what they think about her.
Today we're going to talk about Aileen Wuornos. Aileen is
This is the Behavior Bureau, you guys. Make sure you go over there. I am subscribed. We're going to like this real quick. I'm not going to watch this whole thing because I do have to go to bed. But I'm going to go over there. If you see here, you could see, well, you guys know. You guys teach me. You see where the big humps are. That's where, I guess, people become interested in those segments. So we'll do a few segments, and then I'll call it a night, and we'll go to bed.
She starts
Yes, the
browbeating.
mortician, I
That brow
love
starts
her.
going down instead of up.
Just
I'll
another
leave it at that.
morbid
There's some other
Monday,
things
yes.
here, but this is her trying to show her innocence, and then when you don't believe her, you see that forehead starting to go down.
Oh,
Mark,
are
what do you
they,
think?
Lucy?
Yeah, so something a bit different with this, which is the, let's just say, metaphysical non-verbal communication.
Lucy, I didn't realize that. So we'll just do this. We'll do this little segment here is like a minute, and then I'll bring it back to the main. And then I'll show you guys what I wanted to show you about the mortician thing.
Going on, which is the stories that she's telling and what's the body language going on in those stories. Well, she is beside Jesus. And if you have close proximity to somebody, it means that the relationship is intimate. So she's saying, hey, I got an intimate relationship with Jesus. And then she's saying that they're going to be beside her on Judgment Day. So that moment of judgment, those to be judged will be beside her, and she's right next to Jesus. So she's drawing a complete line from the highest power, highest authority, and I would suggest probably her ability to judge. So we might say she's starting to suggest that she has a messianic complex, in that she believes that she's all powerful and has the ability to judge on a soul level people.
Okay, so I think what he's describing there is delusion.
Which is quite extraordinary. She says not about this, but this idea of that people had to the killing that she did. That is a normal thing, as everybody said. That is a human thing. So she goes from it's normal, not only that it's human. That denotes that.
Yes, Truth, that is so smart. Truth said she's physically animated because she's still very emotionally immature. That is the thing of the night. Hi, Casey.
Maybe, as Scott said, somebody had said at some point, you're not human, you're an animal, you're a monster, you're something other than human. She then takes it a step further to say, it's the right thing. So she's really good at creeping the project a little bit and going, if you thought I was a monster, let me just tell you that I'm human, and actually let me tell you that I'm actually moral. So that's a very fast movement that she makes from animal to actually most moral human being. In fact, highest morality, in that she is directly connected to in many people's religions, somebody who can deal down the death of the soul or the life of the soul everlasting. Extraordinary thing to get across in that amount of time. Amazing. That's what I got for you.
She says she killed to protect herself. You say you are not a serial killer. I'm not a serial killer, and I'm not a murderer. I know that when I die, I'm going to heaven, and I'm going to have Jesus right beside me, and I'm going to have them on Judgment Day in front of me, and they're going to pay for their wrongdoing. I am innocent. It was self-defense. The legal system didn't believe you. I do not regret it. Do not regret it. They were going to kill me. I killed them. That is a normal thing to do. It's a human thing. I did the right thing, or I wouldn't be here today.
Damn. She was not happy there at all. Yeah, no. She was not happy there. So, let me just show you the mortician thing that I wanted to show you, and then I'm gonna call it a night because I'm tired and I have work. Tomorrow's my long day. I work from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So this is what I wanted to show you. And I saw that Harlot and somebody else, Casey maybe, were already talking about it. I'm like, oh, those bitches know me so well. They know what I'm about to say. And you're right, because it was
a stranger. It was a father.
It was about this. So everybody go over to Lauren the mortician. And wait, I didn't cuff you. You said somebody else. There's a couple of them, you guys. I guess. I'm going to have to... I know who you're talking about, the other mortician person, cuff you. I watched her too. I think I mixed them up as being the same person, and they're definitely not. So I do apologize for that. But I definitely like this. But you guys, look. So with Aileen... Let me just sum that up by saying that I do want to, visit that again eventually in the future. I think that was interesting, and I think that we should continue looking at serial killers periodically, maybe once or something a month. Truth gave me that suggestion too, so I think that was good. You don't know this one, the Morbid Mortician. Never seen her. Oh, you guys. She's good, but listen, so she explains the Watts case. Okay?
A father who made a selfish, catastrophic decision. And just like that, the Watts case became one of those cases that lives with people forever. And I swear I have been summoned into this case more times than I can count. Not to talk about the psychology, not to talk about the interrogation, not to talk about the trial, but because of the caskets. Yes, the caskets. Specifically, why the 2 little girls were buried in metal ceiling caskets. And the things I have seen people say about this, that they were radioactive, that the caskets had to be sealed because they were dangerous, that maybe something was hidden in there. And I'm just sitting here like, we have got to talk about this, because this is not a conspiracy. This is not mystery. This is mortuary science. So today we're breaking this down properly. We're going to talk about the oil tank environment, what recovery from a site like that actually looks like.
So you guys, yes. So she goes through this whole thing. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, so I don't know exactly what it gets into. And it's 21 minutes. I have it on 1.3. We could probably get it done quickly, but I feel like we should leave that for a Watts case. But no, if you know where to get it here. But, she's really good. See, Truth even says that she's fabulous. She is really good. And then I definitely am going to watch this as I lay in bed, because I'm so interested.
What happens
Let's watch
before a
it for a
body even
minute
reaches
so that we all get hooked, and then we'll go.
funeral home, how preparation is affected, and why metal ceiling caskets were not suspicious. They were practical. We are not retelling the entire crime. He took their lives. That is the sentence. What we're doing is explaining what happened after. Because while the internet is over here creating theories, there is always a funeral home quietly handling the reality. And that's the part people don't understand. So let's get into it. Because it's just another morbid Monday.
Maybe it is the same one, Cuff You.
Hey, whoa, whoa, wish it was Friday. Intro, wow. Even though this case feels like it's been everywhere, I know I have people watching from all over the world who may not know the full story. This happened in Frederick Commons.
We know the story, so I'm going to get past
And for a
it.
brief moment, people did hope this would be one of those cases where they're found safe. It wasn't. Within about 2 days, inconsistencies in Chris Watts' story started to catch up with him. He eventually confessed and led investigators to the oil field site where he worked. Shanann was buried in a shallow grave on that property. His daughters, Bella and Celeste, were recovered from 2 separate crude oil storage tanks at the same site. So we're talking about roughly 2 days in that environment before recovery. All of them were autopsied, which is standard in a homicide investigation, and that matters. Because now we're not just talking about one location, we're talking about recovery from an industrial site, we're talking about autopsies, which is a full medical procedure of the
This is so interesting.
body, and forensic examination. And then, only after all of that, release to the funeral home. That is a lot for any body to go through in a very short period of time. So before we even get into the funeral decisions, we have to understand the environment, because the environment is important. In this case, the oil is not just a detail, it changes everything.
Her name is Lauren the Mortician. Hopefully Cuff You or somebody can put her link to her channel in the chat. She's so awesome. You have to see, she does so many different stories and not just like cases, and I love that. Like, I think I should add more psychology stories. I think people know enough about like who I am a little bit that I think people would, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Like if I did a story that had to do with like an asylum of some sort, things like that. So she does she'll do like a history story of some sort. And you guys, she has one. Oh my God, where she talks about, and I was like, oh my God, I could so identify with this because I definitely have weird aunts. Like, I might have told you this before, where like I found a book at one of my old aunt's house of just dead people. It was pictures of them in their coffin, like at the funeral home. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? But apparently, not only was that not abnormal, according to my mortician friend here, but she goes back in history to show, oh my God, apparently it was so expensive to have your picture taken back in the day that most people only had their pictures taken at like birth and then again at death. So if somebody died, even if they were like a child, they would have the rest of the family take like family photos with them. I guess and they wouldn't just be laying in a casket. They would be like sitting up. I was like, what in the hell? And a lot of them, their eyes were open, and that was another thing. She talks about how they close your eyes after death, and that when they took these pictures back in the day, that if the kids' eyes were open, like they just stayed open, and then she shows you pictures. Oh, it's a trip.
Now, let's talk about why the oil matters. Picture this, not a pond, not dirt, not grass, a massive steel tank full of crude oil sitting in the Colorado sun, heating during the day, cooling at night. Very little airflow. That's the environment. And here's the simplest way to understand it. I love analogies. So, have you ever got motor oil on your hands? You wash it and you scrub it. You use your favorite soap and it still feels like it's there. That slick layer that never fully goes away. It's very frustrating. Now imagine that over time, oil clings. It settles into your pores. It embeds into surfaces. And then you add the tank itself. Limited oxygen changes natural breakdown. Steel holds heat. Decomposition loves heat. Petroleum changes how tissue behaves. So now we're not just talking about someone who died. We're talking about someone exposed to an industrial chemical environment. And that changes everything. It changes recovery. It changes body preparation. And yes, it changes embalming. So now we're in the prep room because this is where theory becomes reality. When someone comes from an environment like that, you're not just embalming a body, you're working with tissue that has been altered for days. Embalming depends on movement and flow. You introduce embalming fluid into the arterial system and you expect, hope, and pray for it to travel evenly throughout the body. But when petroleum exposure is a part of the equation, you can't assume anything. You can't assume predictability. You're adjusting pressure up and down. You're changing fluid strength. Definitely going to need something a little stronger. You're watching how the body responds in real time.
I am petrified.
Adapting. And from an embalmer standpoint, that can absolutely be a nightmare. Not because it's
Oh my God, you guys, I just made a connection. She says you're adapting, and if you notice, like she said, you have to put more pressure, less pressure, so on and so forth. We talked about psychologically how we adapt there too. So it just goes to show how psychologically and physically we are adaptable human beings, and that we're meant to adapt for survival, and then I guess even after death. Wow, this is amazing. So even after death, like you're not even after death, but in death, she's showing how they even have to adapt due to the environment of the deceased person. The embalming fluid. Wow.
Dramatic, but because embalming is all about control. And this kind of case takes a lot of that control away, basically all of it. Now, before we go any further, I do just really quickly want to clarify. I cannot confirm whether embalming was performed on the family or not. If services were closed casket, embalming may not have been required. And honestly, when someone has been through this traumatic of a death, it might have been something the family knew they weren't going to be able to see them and have a final positive goodbye, so they chose not to. And that's okay. It just depends on the situation. Kind of one of those, they've already been through so much, why put them through more? Bella and...
Does anybody know the answer to that? Do we know if they were embalmed, or I believe, didn't they have autopsies? Wouldn't you have to be embalmed if you have an autopsy? I'm so confused. Hi, Linnell.
Celeste Watts were laid to rest in metal ceiling caskets. Public images from the service also show that Shanann appeared to be laid to rest in a metal casket as well. And that matters because when a family is burying loved ones together, it is incredibly common to choose matching or coordinating caskets. As a funeral director, I have seen families insist on matching everything because it feels like keeping them together. That's not suspicious, that's grief. But Lauren, why metal? Why sealed caskets? Were their bodies dangerous? Were they radioactive? Let's just shut down that rumor immediately. No, they were not radioactive. Crude oil exposure does not make someone magically radioactive. That's not how radiation works. That's not how petroleum works. That's not how science works. Now let's talk about the actual reason metal gets chosen, metal caskets, in cases like this. A gasketed casket has a rubber seal that creates tighter containment. Not preservation magic, not forever, just containment. And when there are unknowns, especially surrounding
would they use this with other types of death too, or just this one?
Preparation control matters. We don't know the level of preparation. We don't know if embalming occurred, but we do know the environment those bodies came from. And that introduces unpredictability. So what do? You reduce the variables. A metal sealing casket helps control odor. It helps prevent leakage. It provides structure. And sometimes when preparation is limited or compromised, additional containment measures are used. Gladly, we need to use them. Not because anyone wants to, but because dignity means preventing complication. We do not gamble during a funeral service. That's how lawsuits start. And you can't put a price tag on emotional distress. So when people see a metal casket and assume mystery, from a professional standpoint, it looks like logistics to me. This is actually something I've experienced firsthand. Story time. I had a case where a young...
Oh, wait. So they said, oh, wow. Who knew? Okay, so you guys are saying, how can they even embalm them? Sorry, I forgot to put that back in. How can they even embalm them? They were destroyed. And then Casey says, oh, that's heartbreaking. And then even if they didn't dissolve, they would probably have just stayed in the tanks forever. Oh my God, you're so right, Harlot, right? I think that's probably what he was hoping. And then you said no, Doc, to what I was asking. Okay, that's interesting. So you wouldn't just use this for... I get it. So autopsy and then embalmed. But I doubt they were embalmed. Wait, I'm so confused. So they couldn't embalm them. How do you do an autopsy? Maybe I'm just not understanding the process.
A woman died in a car accident. It was extremely hot outside. It was the summer, 100% humidity. A man had a heart attack while he was driving his pickup truck. He crossed the center line and he hit her vehicle head on. She died instantly and everything moved really quickly. She went to the medical examiner. She had an autopsy and then she was released to us at the funeral home. But when I tell you decomposition had already taken off, I mean it. I was absolutely...
Oh, I get it.
Floored. We're talking green discoloration, especially in the abdomen, traveling upward towards her neck.
Cuff you knows me well enough. Cuff you. That's alright. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was confusing it. Oh my god, you guys, look at that where I stopped on. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Bloating, changes happening faster than I had ever seen. Thankfully, her face was still viewable, and the family did want to see her one last time. So I embalmed her immediately. The family had already selected a wooden casket, and at that time, that's what we went with. But here's what people don't realize. Wooden caskets don't seal. They close, but they don't seal. There are small gaps, itty bitty gaps, and those gaps can even allow air exchange. They are not designed for containment the way a gasketed metal casket is. And decomposition, it didn't slow down. It continued. It was skyrocketing. I couldn't stop it, to the point where there was a noticeable odor. And I had to make a decision because I knew that if we proceeded with a public funeral service, people would smell it. There is no way to sugarcoat that. So I called the family and I was honest. I told them decomposition was progressing rapidly and there was nothing more I could do to stop it. Because embalming does not stop decomposition, it delays it. That's it. And the autopsy definitely didn't help. The heat, also not helpful, and her body had already been through too much. So instead, we did a private family viewing at the funeral home. They were able to say goodbye, and then we buried her before the actual funeral service. What we had instead was a memorial, photos, memories, but not a public viewing. And looking back, that is a case where I wish I would have pushed harder for a metal sealing casket. Not because I wanted to, but because it would have helped contain that odor, that
Oh my god, you guys. What the actual
decomposition odor. It would have reduced risk, and it would have given us more control in that situation. And that is exactly the kind of thinking that goes into decisions like this. Shadan, Bella, and Celeste are buried together in Colorado. Their monument is absolutely beautiful, and over time it has become a place people visit, not in a spectacle way, but because this case stayed with them. And I think that's important to remember. This is not just a case, this is a family laid to rest together. And for those wondering, Chris Watts is in prison, serving multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. And if you ask me, he is exactly where he deserves to be. I genuinely do not understand how a parent could ever make that kind of decision. My brain can't even wrap around itself. Apparently,
and that's where I come in talking about familicide, which is when somebody ends the life of their family. It's usually done out of revenge, and that's probably what happened here. Plus, he wanted to erase his old life and start with a new one, but you have to have that well, I'm going to stop on what word I'm going to use there. Let's just finish watching her. I'm getting too tired to... We're going to switch now. We're going to put Dr. Vona to bed, and Jamie's here now. So anything I say from this point forward, this is like just me being a human being and not an educated being.
Word divorce as something he had never heard in his vocabulary, but affair was, I don't know, you can rot, Chris. I will never understand. This is just one of those cases that just doesn't make any sense. If you want a full breakdown of the investigation, there are plenty of deep dives that cover that. I definitely gave you the Cliff Notes version, but that's not what this video was about. This is about what happens after, the part that people and families don't see. And debunking conspiracies, because there were a lot of them around these metal caskets, and maybe the answer wasn't what you were expecting. Maybe it was more boring than you were expecting. Maybe thinking that there was something radioactive, that's probably what kept this topic more viral, right? Because that's what sells is viral topics. But I'm just here debunking funeral myths, one myth at a time. So if you're new here, I'm Lauren the Mortician. If there are any other cases you want me to break down from a mortuary standpoint, please let me know. And I'm gonna pause it here, Hannah, and I will get you the Q&A. Q&A time.
Who could we ask her to do one on? Okay, this is Q&A time. I'm gonna skip this, and you guys could go see this if you would like to. Plus all of her other videos. So let's go past Q&A. Oh, does it not go back? Or does Q&A? Oh, maybe it doesn't go back. Oh no, look, she's in a different outfit that whole time. That's interesting.
Segment called What Are You Dying to Know? Where I answer the questions that you're dying to know in the comment section. First question, why embalm if they're going to be cremated anyway?
Oh, so I guess she was done the story and now they're just... But you know what? Let's listen to a few of these questions. I know, I keep prolonging, but what am I doing?
That's a great question. The short answer is closure. Embalming isn't about what happens after. It's about what happens before. A lot of the time when we embalm before cremation, it's because the family wants a viewing. And many of those cases involve sudden or traumatic deaths, especially when an autopsy has been performed. An autopsy is a full medical procedure. There is a cranial exam where the skull is opened so the brain can be examined. There is a Y incision down the torso. Organs are removed, examined, and then returned, typically in a red viscera bag. I'm always surprised how many people don't know this, but when the body is released to the funeral home, the medical examiner team, the autopsy technicians, do not just put the body back together magically. That is our job as morticians. So when I say embalming, I'm not just talking about preservation. I'm talking about putting someone back together in a way that allows their family to actually recognize them. That means closing incisions properly, repositioning and securing sutures, making sure nothing is going to leak, and making sure everything sits the way it should, including the head. Because if the skull is not properly set and glued and secured, it can shift. And you can see that through the skin, literally like on the forehead. And that's not how someone looked in real life. And yes, we are not magicians.
What? The actual F. What?
But we can make a very difficult situation feel a lot more peaceful for the family. Embalming.
Oh, and that was so nice. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Allows us to sanitize, preserve, prevent leak.
Hopefully you don't have any bed bugs. That was just an old saying, you know.
Leakage and present someone in a way that is appropriate for a final goodbye. I don't want to scar anyone for life. At least I try not to, because families should not have to see their loved one in the condition they are in after an autopsy. Now, if a family is choosing cremation, but they still want a viewing, we can absolutely do both. You don't have to have somebody embalmed if you don't want to. We could have a
Oh, well, Casey. Oh, my gosh.
Private family viewing. They come in, they see them, we still wash the body and prepare it. But the reason I bring up the autopsy is I have had families that...
Oh, Andrea, I did not know that. Andrea, you know what? Andrea, don't go, because let me tell you why. Andrea, don't go. I'm going to turn this off anyway, because I need to go to bed for real. So you're just giving me a reason to stop, so if you go, then I'm just going to keep on talking, and I'm going to stop watching stuff that I shouldn't anyway. Oh, look at me. I'm like going crazy over here. Andrea, I didn't know that, though. I'm so sorry. You guys, we all find out how much, you know, but that's literally like the worst. Ugh, I'm so sorry. We love you, Andrea. And we're so here for you. And hopefully you didn't leave, because that was, you're literally like, you know, that was my head too saying enough. Oh wow, what did I miss with Lucy? I'll have to go back and, oh wait, an old friend's dad. He said they used a Band-Aid to cover up a gunshot wound to the head for an open casket. Yeah, well, I don't want to keep going on this because I don't even know why I just read that out loud. I do apologize. I am going to go to sleep, you two bad actors. I am so tired, and now I'm just going to start making mistakes and having to say sorry every 3 minutes because I'm tired. But, so this is my deal, you guys. Tomorrow I work all day, but I get done at 9. And then I just need a few minutes to, like, get a drink, go to the bathroom, I don't know, eat something. My husband usually orders Chinese food and I eat real quick. But I get all of that done in, like, a half hour or so. So, tomorrow night, expect me at around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we will do, what should we do tomorrow? You know what we need to keep on? What about, like, I don't know, what about JLR? I think, I don't know. My meds wore off a long time ago, Truth. Thank you for apologizing for me because it was a long time ago. Alright, well, we'll talk about it. You guys put in the chat what you want. Oh my god, what is this? Hold on one sec. You guys, I swear to God, I'm not lying. That was so weird. When I was about to say goodnight, I got a notification from Plunder True Crime. I'm part of her Patreon. That literally says, fixed audio plus 2-page PDF. JLR investigates 3/17/26 court hearing transcript. Jonathan Lee Riches versus Magnolia James. What? I think we need to do this. I think that was an omen that we needed to do this. But yeah, I have the transcripts. I'm not exactly sure what they're transcripts of, but it says her versus, it says the court. Wait, what's the date on this? I don't know what the date is on this, you guys, because I have to go in and look at it. But I'm going to go look into that too. So maybe that's what we do tomorrow night. We look at JLR again. Because I do think that we need to keep on this. I don't think that all of his followers even know it. I know there's going to be a ton of people that are going to continue to follow him and turn a blind eye. And some people will even use cognitive dissonance to give him another chance. Some people will just want to believe that he hasn't done anything, and they'll make excuses and double down for him. So I think we need to expect all of the things, right? But I think that that's even more of a reason why we need to bring awareness to this, so that at least people can make the decision that they want to make, and we can see where people sit on what side, you know what I mean? Whether somebody stands up for, you have to stand for something, or you fall for everything, right, you guys? So with that being said, I want to thank all of my mods. I want to thank you so much. Hold on. I want to say thank you so much to Lucy Day and Stage 3 OC Survivor. Thank you so much. And Birdie, thank you for being a member for 7 months. You guys are all amazing. Tonight, Cuff You, two Bad Actors, and Lucy Day. And then Truth, you were right behind there. And then Miss Andrea. Then Lynn and Casey and Birdie and Stage. Look, it gives me my top, I'm going to say my top 10. And then Just Call Me Heidi. They were my top 10 contributors tonight. So I do appreciate all of you. Oh wait, Travis is here? Is Travis here? Where in the hell have I been? Or is this just overall? I think that's overall. Okay, I'm tired. Time to go to bed. I love you, you guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't hit like yet, if you could please hit like on your way out, I would appreciate you so very much. And I'll see you all tomorrow. We'll dive into JLR again. Sounds like a date. Mwah. I love you all.